Hello and welcome to yet another episode of the Unnamed Podcast. And of course, I am your host, RJ Akash, aka Evil Monkey. The Unnamed Podcast में मैं बात करता हूँ कुछ ऐसी अमेजिंग पर्सनालिटीज के साथ जो अपने काम से अपनी लाइफ में तो चेंजेस ला ही रहे हैं, साथ ही साथ सोसाइटी में भी अमेजिंग चेंजेस ला रहे हैं। और अगर आप खुद ऐसी एक शख्सियत हैं या फिर आप किसी ऐसे शख्सियत को जानते हैं जो अपने काम से अपनी लाइफ में साथ ही साथ दूसरों की लाइफ में भी चेंजेस ला रहे हैं, देन फील फ्री टू ड्रॉप मी अ ईमेल ऑन evilmonkey10@gmail.com। अगर बात करें मेरे आज के गेस्ट की, तो वेल ही इज अ फिल्म मेकर फ्रॉम USA एंड ही हैज traveled most part of the globe, be it Africa, be it Southeast Asia. Well, he is of African American descent. His name is Henry Johnson, or well, he has been making films for quite a long time now in USA, and of course has also branched out to countries like Philippines, Thailand, and other countries. Plus, he also is a co-founder for a record label company which is called Ethno Records, which basically promotes indie artists. So well, let's talk to Henry Johnson and let's know his story and figure out that how difficult it is for a man from the African American descent to make it in film industry in USA. Hello my dear friend Henry, how are you?
I'm doing great, man. How are you?
I am doing perfectly okay. So we've been connected on Facebook, I think, for more than 5 to 6 years.
That's
Or
right.
even more than that. I think even more than that.
More than that.
More than that. And like I've been following your work. Like you have worked across the globe. You have worked like in many countries, and you are an independent filmmaker. Now you have your own record label where you basically promote young upcoming artists from different ethnicities. So like I think you're doing some amazing work down there, man. Like amazing things. So first of all, kudos to you.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate it, man. Appreciate it. Yeah, just, I think in life we should be our brother's keepers. That's what Dr. King said, right? Being a brother's keeper don't matter if that person is white or that person from India or the person from the Philippines. We should always look out for each other,
Right.
I believe there is no Indian, there is no Black, there is no white, there is no Asian and stuff like that. I think all those things were created by the idea of Europeanism and said, this is who you are and this is who you're going to be. Once you start thinking construct, you come to live within a box, right? My goal with my company, with Ethno Records, is that we are all the same. We're all human beings. We all pretty much look going after the same thing, right? Which is life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. So Ethno Records bring together all the races that were defined by Europeans during colonization. That those things within its entire entity is not real, right? It's just something man made up and said this is who you are. But in reality, we all desire life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and Ethno Records is going to exploit those avenues through art. And I think art is is one of the greatest human force that could bring everyone together, be it Black, white, Indian, people from Asia, everywhere, everyone together, pretty much.
Absolutely. And like, so how did the idea for starting up this record label came to you?
Just from my travels, man. Been to Thailand, been to Philippines, been to Hong Kong, been to Belgium, Ivory Coast. Just traveling the world, interacting with different cultures. And one thing I come to realize, like I said earlier, is that we as human beings, no matter our race or social backgrounds or religion, we all are seeking after the same thing, which is life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. I think Ethno Records will give us that freedom and ability to come together through a one world platform, through art and others, to impact lives across the globe. And I've always believed that art can change the world, right? If we are sharing our art, right, sharing because art comes through feelings and our human expressions, and it comes from like different backgrounds, stuff like that. So if we're sharing that with the world,
Hmm.
right, we come to we as the human beings come to understand we're not that different, right?
Correct.
And even if we were different within our own minds, difference should never separate us, right?
Exactly.
Difference should be respected, difference should be loved, and difference should bring us together to understand our common purpose,
Right.
right? And that's what Ethnic Record is all about.
Nice, nice, nice. I like the whole idea of like how you're trying to, bring across musicians from different, backgrounds and like different ethnicity, and like taking them and like giving them a good platform, because nowadays like you have different kind of platforms which do provide people some limelight to come and like share their art and their creativity. But yeah, there is always a silver lining there, that there might be few things that are not being told to the people. But yeah, I think like what you are doing is an absolutely amazing thing, man. Like I've like the catalog of artists that you have is like an amazing thing.
Thank you, brother. Thank you, brother. And the goal is one day to branch out to India, right? The
Absolutely,
world
man.
is my home. The world is my home. So I was born in Liberia, but I left when I was 5 years old, and I came to the United States in fifth grade.
Okay.
And I've been here since. So I'm more American than Liberian.
Hmm.
Yeah, but one thing I come to realize, just wherever, which of course wherever I'm comfortable,
Mm.
is my home. Right?
Exactly.
I think home became also a construct that Indian live here, so this is India. I think when men created borders, men stopped the possibility of what could be.
Exactly.
And Ethno Records is trying to explore that possibility that no matter the borders, no matter the culture, no matter the race, we as the human race have one thing in common. And that thing I already talked about.
Yeah, exactly. Very true, man. And like apart from you're starting, because like this is a very new thing for you, but you are an independent filmmaker, and like you have been across the globe, traveling to many countries, working with many independent directors, and making many
Yeah,
amazing films. But like,
I was fortunate to work with a guy called Napat. We've
okay,
been friends on Facebook for a long time. We started talking. I think it was when I was in film school, 2014.
okay,
And I used to like his work. We talked back and forth. And I was invited to Thailand, and we did an indie film there, and it won Best International Short Film, and I won Best Actor. But
oh, very
Nepal,
nice.
man, Nepal is one of like the best Thai young filmmakers there, and there's a guy called Prashant.
Mm-hmm.
He's very famous in Thailand.
Okay,
I had the chance to meet him as well. We were planning on something before the pandemic came up, but yeah, it was a great time just going to Thailand and working with those guys. They're very professional.
mm.
Yeah.
Amazing. And like, how did your like interest in filmmaking and getting into independent movies? How did it all started for you?
Just love for telling stories, man. Because I feel like growing up here in America as a kid, I feel like I had a voice, but I didn't know how to go about it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think tapping into filmmaking give me that ability to tell my story, be it even if it's not my story, but someone else's story.
Right.
Right. So I think as far as filmmaking goes, one of the reasons why I got into like the business is because I believe there are stories out there that have not been told.
Correct.
Like if God blesses me, I survive this pandemic, and years from now, I'm trying to tell a unique story between an African American guy or a black guy and an Asian woman. You don't see that on screen a lot. You want to see the opposite, right?
Exactly.
Although those things happen. It happen. You have that a lot going on in our world.
Right.
And telling a story like that will help break stereotypes that surrounds black people as a whole.
Absolutely. And so like, where did you started learning filmmaking, and like, what was your initial stages of filmmaking, and like, how did it all started for you?
When I graduated, because before filmmaking, I started in stage. I was a stage actor.
Okay.
I started in middle school.
Mm-hmm.
at Mariah Check Middle School in Aurora, Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
There, I started stage acting in the 8th grade. There, I also won best stage actor, best performing actor on stage.
Okay.
Then after that, I went to Ranger High School for a year. My mother loves her house, so we moved on the border of Aurora and Denver, and I went to Gateway High School for 3 years.
Okay.
Gateway High School, it's like a ghetto area, but given that environment, I still started pursuing acting. And one of my friends told me, he's like, "Hey Henry, you're very open guy. Why can't you apply for the plays here and stuff like that?" And I listened to him and started doing more plays and stuff. And I remember in Gateway High School, as I was a junior, I won again Best Actor on Stage.
Oh, nice.
Right? And from there, I after high school, I went to college, one of the top 25 film school in the world, Colorado Film School. That's where I went. And there I was discovered by this lady called Galena Bodaski.
Okay.
She teaches actors in Hollywood and stuff like that. She was my personal mentor.
Oh.
But she have mentored like top actors in Hollywood.
Okay.
Yeah. So she was my mentor for a little bit. She taught me everything that I know about acting and as far as the art, like directing and stuff like that at the Colorado Film School.
Okay.
And there, through her, I was able to get my first gig, Comcast TV commercial. I was fairly young. It was it was a hot tub scene, and I did my thing and got paid a couple of dollars here and there. It was good money back then because I was young. Yeah, so I did that. And just doors started opening after another, and I started doing more short films. I'm big on short films because most director in Hollywood got discovered from short films.
Right.
So you have to, short film is like what you can do with your ability in a short period of time. So I'm more on short film. My longest short film was actually shot past September. I was in Rhode Island. It was a Liberian American film called Vanity. It's still being put together right now. So yeah, that was like my longest short film. But I've done a lot of shorts and won a lot of awards here and there.
Right.
Stuff like that. Yeah.
So how is the business working there? Like as far as like the short films and independent film goes. So is it very like, do you guys get well paid, or is it like, are you just able to meet the ends? Like how is it?
Short films is as for me, I started at the film school. So working from the film school, I will speak from the Colorado Film School perspective. Working from the film school, you first get an audition, and because most of those short films were usually shot by students, as it was like a student film, and usually, if you go to the film school, you have to audition for a role, and if you get cast, you make a deal with like the director, right? Sometimes they'll pay you around like $200, or sometimes lesser than that. Okay, because it's a film project, right? And after that film is made, is put into like the film school festival. Okay, and from there, if you guys win, you guys get like a higher price. As the film I was doing here and there, at the Colorado Film School. Yeah. But he's really competitive, you got to be really good to even be cast in most of those short films that were shot. Okay. At the Colorado Film School. Yeah. And if you want to come to, whenever you decide to come to America, you should check out the Colorado Film School. Okay. It's one of the top 25 film schools in the world. It's a really great place, brother. I recommend. Definitely, for sure. And like, so like you have also directed a lot of films. So like, have you ever thought of, maybe approaching Hollywood, maybe not as an actor, maybe as a director or something like that? Like Hollywood? Here's the thing, brother. This is good. This is going to sound a little bit weird, but it's quite hard for we Black folks to break out in the movie business in Hollywood. You know why? Because the The producers in Hollywood, they work like this, just like at the film school, right?
Mm.
So at the Colorado Film School, whatever environment at the Colorado Film School is the same thing in Hollywood, right? They love typecasting,
Ah,
right? Let's say if you're black, right, and in order for them to cast you in an appropriate role,
mm.
they will cast you in a gangster role,
Okay.
and I don't like that. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? I'm not a gangster be playing gangsters. You know what I'm saying? I want that role that the white boy got.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
I want that role that that's how we should be. And I believe that social construct is not living. Just because this person is black, they should play a black character
Right.
or a stereotypical black character. You see that in Hollywood films, and it comes to bug me, because that's not really showing our culture. Black people are just like white people.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Black people are just like Indian people. Black people are just like all people.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And it's just 1% of us that sag our pants and want to be gangsters and stuff like that. But Hollywood loves to sell this narrative to the world that we all black are the same, and it's disgusting. And that's one of the reasons I look at that. I'm like, I'm gonna just travel the world and do my thing here and there,
Right.
until I can get discovered.
True.
But I was actually but before the pandemic, I was actually discovered by Prashad.
Okay.
He's like one of the famous Thai director in Thailand.
Mhm.
My friend introduced us over dinner
Okay.
one day. He was kind of judgmental a little bit, but he was a nice guy.
Perfect. But do you think that as you said that in Hollywood, like the men of African American descent are portrayed in a certain manner? But do you think with passing of times, with like new times, with movies like Black Panther, and with the newest movie of Christopher Nolan, Tenet, where there's a black guy who is playing the protagonist over there.
That guy is Denzel Washington's son. You know who Denzel Washington is?
Of course, I know.
That's John David Washington.
Right.
So he came from money, bro.
Right.
Like his father is already new in Hollywood. He's wealthy. You know what I'm saying? He's wealthy. So of course that's Denzel's son. Denzel have connection. Of course, going to give him. If you probably checked that, he didn't probably audition for that role.
Okay.
It's just because of his. Oh, it's that Denzel Washington's son. Give him the part.
Right.
But it's not the same kid. It's not the same scenario for a lot of black struggling actors.
Mm-hmm.
They have to. Some of them, not all of them,
right,
and not all directors in Hollywood that do this, because I've not met a lot of them. Right. So some of them have to at times play this stereotypical Hollywood black character to even break in the industry.
Right.
I think at one point Denzel Washington had to do the same.
Exactly.
Become this famous guy that he is.
Right.
Now, which is sad, but now things have changed. You know what I'm saying? We have had America's first biracial president. I don't call him black because his mother's white and his father's from Africa, so he's biracial. Right. So we have had a first biracial president whose roots go back to East Africa, Kenya, and here in America. So that alone shows that we have made some progress. And in Hollywood, the Black Panther movie is another progress, right? I think, and we have had more black directors telling black stories. And over time, I think it's just recently, since I think it was 2013, we started breaking out into our own image and creating our own stories. Because we have these revolutionary black directors, like, have you heard of Spike Lee?
Yeah, I have heard of Spike Lee.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Well, Spike Lee been around for
I know that he has been for a very long time.
He challenged the status quo, man. And let's say you're doing that in India, people will not like it. And people now don't like him here.
I know. Some people like these are like acquired tastes. Either you like them or either you don't like them. Exactly.
That's right. And I think every great director should have that personality, the personality of Spike Lee, man. Like, this is who I am. This is the story I'm going to tell. What you going to do about it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
True. So, working for your, movies, you have been across the globe. So, which is the, favorite place that you have loved to shoot in?
Favorite place? Oh, that's awesome. That's a great question. I will say Thailand and the Philippines. I think one of the reasons is because the people there are more about the content of your characters than the pigmentation of your skin. Though I realize and I noticed that in the Southeast Asian
Mhm.
countries, some people, not
Right, right.
all, some people are geared towards this idea that the fairer your skin, the most beautiful you
Correct.
are, which of course is, which of course is cliche,
Absolutely.
man, because that don't make no sense to anyone that study the anyone that study racism and anyone that study
Right.
Europeanism. I think people come to accept the colonizers, and over time, being that they were brainwashed, they won
Exactly.
to be like the colonizers. You know,
Absolutely.
which is sad, man. Which is sad. I think no one should bleach the skin to be identified with, to try to identify with
Exactly.
anything or
Exactly.
anyone. People should be themselves uniquely and love
Very,
themselves, and that's how the world come to respect you and your culture, because you love yourself and you're telling the world, you're giving the world the middle finger. This is who I am. Accept me, and that's one of the reasons why I like Spike Lee. He don't give a
Mhm.
crap how the world thinks about him. You know what I'm
Exactly.
saying? Being you is the most powerful message that you can share with the world.
Exactly.
I'm who I am. Deal with it, you know. But the things I've seen just during my travels in Asia is that that fair skin thing is kind of like a problem, man. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like a
Yeah.
problem.
True. True. True.
It's sad, man. And I feel for those kids who are just dark, who is as dark
Mm.
as me, be it in India or the Philippines or Thailand, who are dark skinned
Right.
as me. It's like if you're growing up in a world like that and you're seeing just fair skin as beauty, then what is the essence of even existing in that world? You come to question your very
Exactly.
identity. You come to question your skin day in and day out. And I think it should not be like that,
Absolutely.
man.
Very,
You know what I'm
very
saying?
true.
People should embrace their culture, man. People should embrace
Yeah.
who they are. But then again, if you start saying that, people question you. Who are you? You can't tell me what to do.
Exactly. Very true, man. Very,
But
very true. That.
but on the other hand, brother, cancer is real. You remember
Yeah.
Michael
Yeah. Yeah.
Jackson?
Absolutely. I remember.
He
Yeah.
bleached he bleached his skin like what those one of those ladies are
Yeah.
doing. He got cancer from that,
Exactly.
bro. He got cancer from that. It have a side effects on the body.
Absolutely. Very. You should be
Yeah.
natural in terms of whatever you are, and you should accept yourself as we are.
You have to, man. And you see, one of the reasons you see black culture, be it it's African culture, which is black, or American black culture, or Caribbean black culture. Did you know why it resonates with a
Uh-huh,
lot of
uh-huh.
people? It's because some of us, I would say 80%
Mm.
of black folks, be it African black or American black or Jamaican black, we don't really care how the world
Right.
thinks about us. We are who we are. And like Baldwin said, you have to let the world to deal with you,
Exactly.
not the idea of you. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And I think people who bleach their skin, they're comfortable with the idea that the world share of them. So, they want to fit in with the world, so they must accept the narratives of the
Absolutely,
world.
very true, very true, man.
Yeah.
And like you have been traveling across the globe for your movies and all, and now and you are a father of two lovely kids. So how do you like stay in touch with them when you're shooting outside the country or something like that?
I call them when I'm overseas in the Philippines, but sometimes they're usually
Okay.
sleeping. Yeah, but I'm trying to be an example for my
Hmm.
sons. Right? My you got to understand my sons, they're from they're Filipinos and
Right.
Liberian American. That means on the for me, being a
Mm.
Liberian American, is that we within our culture, from my perspective, in the Liberian culture, our parents don't teach us how to
Hmm.
dream. You know what I'm saying? Same thing. I think it's the same thing applied with the Filipino
I think
culture.
it's
You know
I
what I'm
think
saying?
it's most
So
of the African and Asian culture that our parents
yes,
don't
it's sad,
allow us to dream that much.
right? And as far as country goes, our parents don't talk. Sometimes I think our parents don't talk uh, about the idea of
Right.
love of country. Our country just our countries, our various countries are just there. They
Exactly.
exist without the love of country, right? So it's kind of weird, man. It's kind of weird. So my goal, because I grew up here, I've been here
Right.
since fifth grade. My goal for my kids, I want to set an
Uh-huh.
example, right? For my kids, they see me traveling the world and see me doing all these things when I grow up. I want them to say, if my father can dream, it is okay to
Exactly.
dream, right? If my father could be whatever he is distinct on the journey to be, if he becomes successful, I want to do the same. Or I want to do something
Right.
even greater. So I think fathers should be an example for their
Absolutely.
sons.
Very.
Yeah. And that's which of course that's what I'm doing with Ethno Records and stuff like that. And when it grows, maybe my
Uh,
sons can take over. But they must know what they're doing, because I won't just give it to them like that. They have to work for it and know what they're doing.
exactly. Very true. Very true. And like with the pandemic setting in, so how it has affected your work for the record company and also for films.
Uh Not really, not much. It have not affected anything because we at Ethno Records, my brother, we will work even when there's a
Okay.
firestorm. We are determined to succeed, man. I remember at the beginning of the pandemic, my because the guy who runs Egno in the
Mhm.
Philippines, Jetro, we had a meeting, and he told me, "Bro, what do you want to do when the pandemic is here?" And I'm like, "Bro, it's not about the pandemic; it's about the idea and vision of Egno.
Right.
Let's get it." You know what I'm saying? We just start. We got up and just start running.
Nice.
You know what I'm saying? And we have like a lot of work we have not put out, but there's a lot of work we have not. We probably going to release that
Okay.
2021.
Cool.
Yeah, and I could play one. Maybe you could be the first one to hear one of the songs we're going to put out 2021. Maybe I
Sure.
could play a
Sure.
little
Sure.
bit.
Yeah,
I
you can
love it.
play a little bit of it on my show. Why not, man?
Just a little bit because I don't when Jetro listens, I
Of
don't
course.
want him.
Of course. I can totally understand that.
Okay, it's called To Say Bello.
Okay.
I'll play it for you. I'll find it for you.
Okay.
It's right here.
Yeah, I can
Can
hear
you
it
hear it?
perfectly.
Hey baby, I wanna say something. I miss you. Yes, baby.
Nice. Nice. Yeah, that's
So
a good. Pretty. Yeah,
it's
yeah, I
pretty
like the
good,
I
huh?
like the beats and everything, man. Pretty nice.
Yeah, man. It's called Tu Sei Bello, brother.
Okay,
Tu
so
Sei
what
Bello.
does that mean? Is it what language is that? Italiano. Oh,
Italiano.
okay.
Italiano. Tu Sei Bello, it means you know what that means, right? I love you, Tu Sei
Okay,
Bello.
I get it. I get it. Pretty nice.
No, not really. Hold on. It don't means that.
Uh,
I lied. Tu Sei Bello, it means you're
oh, very
beautiful,
nice.
pretty much.
Very nice.
That's what it means.
Oh, very pretty
Tu Sei
cool,
Bello,
man.
yeah.
That's like I really like the beats
Yeah.
and everything. So like, tell us a bit about the artist, like whose song it is and all.
Yeah, is
Vida.
Wida
Okay.
Pineda, yeah. She's one of Egno's newest artists. She's
Okay.
based in the Philippines.
Pretty nice. Pretty nice. So she.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
She's really talented. She was the one that did that my mom band
Oh, okay.
music video. Yeah, she's very very talented.
Interesting. Interesting. And you will be releasing all the new material that you have in 2021.
2021, man, it's gonna be a goal year. I'm praying for you, praying for long
Absolutely,
life, brother.
absolutely. And like, if somebody wants to, discover your artist and listen or want to listen to your music, the company that your company is coming out with, so how can they listen to it?
They could go on Egno Records page, ETHNO dash
Okay.
RECORDS, Egno
Uh,
Records on
okay.
Facebook. Yeah. And we're gonna post everything as far as new music. We're gonna post everything on there, and we're gonna new work are usually
Mhm.
pinned to the top, so we're gonna like pin, like new all the new work to the top. So from there, they can listen to like our artists' newest songs and stuff
Amazing,
like that.
amazing work. And like, so like in the end, I just want you to give if there are some young people who want to make it into the music industry or want to get into filmmaking, so what would be your tips for them to how to basically first of all survive, and then like how to start make money for themselves in this industry?
The first thing should be love
Right.
for the art
Mm-hmm.
and conviction. You must have a strong conviction of um of doing right, and you should come to, like, it all goes back to what we talked about earlier. You have to
Right.
accept yourself, right? You have to have the world to deal with you, not the idea
Correct.
of you, right? And I think in order to make it in the film industry, you must be passionate as well. You must be a people's person, because the world is a global village, right? A social construct does not define
Exactly.
this village, right? Within this global village, there is no India, there is no America, there is no China, there is no Nigeria,
Correct.
there is no Liberia. It's just this village, because the internet made this
Ex-
village very small. You're in India, I'm over here in
exactly.
America, and we connect on so many levels. It's because of
Absolutely.
this village, right? Yeah, and the internet made the world a very small place. So, my advice would be a people's person, and be humble, and always sometimes be willing to work for free, right? Sometimes directors would test you, right, to see if you're really. I think if you're willing to work for free, it shows your
Exactly.
commitment to the art, right? Art comes with a certain form of conviction, right? So that conviction comes true. It is seen when you're
Exactly.
humble. If you're not too greedy for money, because money eventually will come if
Exactly.
you have good art. It should not be about the money. It should be about your passion
Absolutely.
for what you want to
Very
do.
true.
Yeah.
Very true. Indeed. Very much. And like, let's hope that you come to India post pandemic, and like we get to meet and maybe work on a film over here in India.
Definitely, brother. I would love to work on a film in India, especially working with Indian actors and Indian actors, and maybe I can probably teach those actors what I
Absolutely.
know about acting. Back and forth sharing ideas and
Absolutely.
stuff like
Absolutely.
that. Yeah.
Why not, man? Why not? Well, on that note,
Yeah.
thank you very much, Henry, for coming on the Unnamed Podcast and man sharing your story with us. I know it's pretty late out there in Denver right now. I think it might be like around 10 o'clock in the night. Talk to you finally after such a long time, and hopefully you come down to India and we can work on few things, and yeah, we'll have a good time over here, man.
Same here, my brother. God
Thanks,
bless
man.
you,
Thanks.
man. God bless you, man. So keep being positive, man, and I'll be praying for the success of Bollywood. Bollywood's kicking tails, man.
Yeah.
You guys are doing great with the film there.
Cool. Okay.
All right, my
Thanks,
brother.
man.
Thank you so much, man.
Yeah,
for
thank
having me on
you
the
for
show.
being
I
there on the
appreciate
show,
it.
man. Thank you very much.
It will
Right.
spread in Asia first,
Right.
and branch out to Africa. Then from Africa,
Oh, of course. Why
probably
not, man?
Europe.
Why not? Pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah, brother. Yeah.
Thank you
brother.
very
Thank
much,
you. I
man.
appreciate everything.
Yeah.
Yep. Thank you.
सो आई होप कि आपको ये एपिसोड ऑफ द अननेम पॉडकास्ट बेहद पसंद आया हो एंड इन केस यू आर एंजॉइंग दिस कंटेंट डोंट फॉरगेट टू फॉलो दिस पॉडकास्ट वेयर एवर यू आर गेटिंग योर पॉडकास्ट एंड आई विल सी यू इन द नेक्स्ट एपिसोड ऑफ द अननेम पॉडकास्ट टिल देन यू गाइस स्टे कूल स्टे टाइट एंड लिव लाइफ ह्यूमन साइज